Jive to the talking. Jive to the talking. He's a guy talking alone to himself in his room. He's a guy with the Jive Talkin podcast. Let's get it on real soon. Jive to the talking. Jive to the suing. Jive to the talking. Yeah, you get it. Yeah, you've got it. You understand what's going on here. It's a whole shit show, I'll tell you what. First shout out I'd like to make is to my lousy bosses for making me work extra long, and I'm getting to my things that I love to do later on because I got to go and deal with them jerks all the time, every day. In fact, it's weird. It's every day. Welcome one and all back to episode 71, is it? Of Jive Talkin with Shane Diablo. Now, you're looking at this right here, and you're seeing a very angry face of Mick Mars. This is not our top story, people. You're not going to believe this. This is not our top story. Our top story is, a comment from Metallica on my TikTok. Right there, before your eyes. Now, you're saying, well, Shane, that could be one of them fake accounts. That couldn't really be Metallica giggling at you. Okay, all right. Boom, there's a close-up. They got the check mark, Metallica. Now this represents three funny, laughing hearts. And I says to myself, my God, this is wonderful. I can't believe it. Metallica has commented on my thing. It was this one here that says Metallica announced drummer to replace Lars Ulrich in upcoming European tour. Now here's this wacky, silly part about that. Right before I began recording, I just happened to read this comment down here. This was an April Fool's joke. Articles that other, what does that say? Joke article that other sites ran with. So, first I think Metallica thinks I'm a great person and they like my content. And now I think that they're going, you're a dolt. You're a dum-dum, because it's not true. I guess Lars Ulrich is not. Here's the thing. I watched a concert just the other day, and it was from 2022. And I was thinking to myself, he was playing a bit sluggish in this concert. And I thought to myself, if one of those four guys go, I bet it'll be Lars. Now, he'll still make a big piece of the pie, of course. But if the first guy to go, I'm retiring, I'm going to call it quits, I think might be Lars. Let's get into this story here because it is huge. Motley Crue. Do you know this band? Have you heard of them? I kind of parodied Shout at the Devil there, Jive to the Talkin. I didn't do a very good job of it, but that's, never mind. Mick Mars sues Motley Crue over tour profits and says all of Nikki Sixx's backing tracks, bass tracks, for the stadium tour were pre-recorded. And if that wasn't enough, I think we've got a retort. That's how good I am in the news department. We got the retort from Motley Crue. Motley Crue guitarist Mick Mars has sued his bandmates, claiming they are ripping him off financially. Mars, whose real name is Robert Allen Deal, announced in October that he was retiring from touring with Motley Crue due to his ongoing painful struggle with, ankylosing spondylitis, a type of arthritis that causes inflammation in the spine, joints, and ligaments and can lead to stiffness over time. But in his lawsuit, which was obtained by TMZ, the 71-year-old says he made it clear he could still record with the band or do limited performances, but he just couldn't handle a full tour with his conditions. So they get John 5 alive, because they've decided we're not retiring now. We need John 5 alive. Mars' lawsuit, which was filed Thursday, April 6th in the Los Angeles County Superior Court, that's very fancy, states that his bandmates held an emergency shareholders meeting to throw him out of Motley Crue and strip him of his shares in the corporation that manages the group's business interests. That's just some shady stuff, man. In the lawsuit, Mick says Motley Crue, got this cough. Motley Crue cut his percentage of profits from 25%. That's the way you do that. Cut that pie just like that. percent to 5% after he announced he was stepping back from touring. Furthermore, he claims the band's lawyers made him feel like he should be grateful for even that small cut because they didn't feel they owed him anything at all. That's when you get all them corporate bastards in there. All of them goddamn cigar chomping pricks. That's when this shit happens. Mick also claims there was a full band meeting and they decided to unilaterally remove him from Motley Crue. John 5 alive. Mick also repeatedly accused bassist Nikki Sixx of gaslighting him about his guitar skills diminishing, despite the fact that Sixx didn't play a single note on bass during a recent tour, according to the guitarist. Mick claims all of Nikki Sixx's parts were pre-recorded. Sixx made it clear to Mars that he believed that the 5% offer was a generous one, and that Mars, after 41 consecutive years with the band, did not deserve anything going forward. Mick's lawyer wrote in the filing, Sixx further gaslighted Mars by severely criticizing his performance on the U.S. tour and exclaimed that there is no way that the band could tour with Mars anymore. John 5 alive, John 5. He jumps out of the bushes. John 5. John 5. We love John 5. Okay, we're just having fun. Mars also claims that Sixx would make band decisions without telling the other musicians. Without the other musicians, that's interesting, and would ask his bandmates to sign documents immediately on Fridays at 5 p.m. How did Mars brothers of 41 years respond to Mars' tragic announcement about quitting the road? Asked the suit. According to Variety, they noticed an emergency shareholders meeting for the band's main corporate entity to order to throw Mars out of the band, to fire him as a director of the corporation, to fire him as an officer of the corporation, and to take away his shares of the corporation. When he did not go away quietly, they purported to fire him for 6 additional band corporations and LLCs. You know, you're out there in the garage, man. You're rocking out. You're going, bros, we've got it, man. We're going to do it. Let's light this world up. And then this shit happens. I can settle this for you simply and easily. Everybody gets a fair cut, whether they're in the song at the time or they're not. 25, 25, 25. You split that shit evenly and you never waver on it. And you don't get a bunch of goddamn cigar chomping pricks to tell you, you're the star of this band. You don't need any of them. You can go solo. None of that shit, right? The suit contends during much of the band's recent tenure, Sixx continually gaslighting Mars about telling him that Mars, had some sort of cognitive dysfunction and that his guitar playing was subpar, claiming that Mars forgot chords and sometimes started playing the wrong songs. I mean, he's always got looks that kill wrong, right? I mean, back from 1988, he's been getting that wrong. And I've seen a couple of goofs and spoofs, but you don't want to do anything like that too hard on a fella that's going through his shit. He's going through some stuff. Although Mars had indicated that the 12 U.S. stadium dates would be his last shows while touring, the 12 anticipated shows ultimately expanded to 36 shows, and Mars performed at every single one of them in constant pain. Sixx's gaslighting came to a crescendo during the stadium tour when he, knowing that this was Mars' last tour as a result of his increasingly painful and debilitating AS, and apparently already plotting to force him out of the band and take his shares, repeatedly told Mars that he was playing the wrong chords and the fans were complaining about his playing. Astonishingly, Sixx made these claims about Mars playing while Sixx did not play a single note on bass during the entire tour. That's in quotes. The lawsuit continues. Ironically, 100% of Sixx's bass parts were nothing but recordings. Sixx was seen fist pumping in the air with his strumming hand while the bass was playing. In fact, a significant portion of Vince Neil's vocals were also pre-recorded. Wow. Even some of Tommy Lee's drums were we saw that, right? We saw that little goof, and someone said, "It's a big arena. It was just a, it was just something. It wasn't nothing. Tommy played it." Some fans actually noticed that Lee was walking toward his drum set as they heard the drum part begin. Yes. Okay, guys, do we? Let's keep going with Mars here, and we'll just get a brief on the Motley Crue retort, because they're really giving me stinky right now. Mars at times on tour did play the wrong chords, but not due to any cognitive dysfunction, the lawsuit continues. He was playing live and his in-ear monitors were constantly malfunctioning, causing Mars to be unable to hear his own instruments. Okay, now they got the in-ear monitors, so Mars has to listen to all of that shit, and all of that shit that's in his ear monitor is all of that stuff. And 1, 2, 3, and click, click, boom, do 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 do. It's all there because you get a mix in your in-ear monitor. So I could understand that, right? Causing Mars to be unable to hear his own instrument. The fact that Mars is rarely mocked or criticized online, he is quite well. He gets some, doesn't he? How about him and Jakey Lee? They're not fans of each other, right? He is a quiet member of the group who shows up to play and puts his heart and soul into each performance. Conversely, other band members are often criticized online, particularly Neil, who is routinely torn to shreds for, among other things, not remembering the songs. All right, let's just get over here. Let's have a little titty taste. See, they're goofing on him right there. This image has got, he's going, "Where I put my fingers at, Nikki?" And he says, "How the hell should I know? I'm not even plugged in, bro. I'm using fake bass." But let's talk about Mick Mars over here. He's got cognitive stuff, bro. "Oh, yeah, I know." Anyways, Motley Crue blasts Mick Mars' lawsuit as unfortunate and completely off base. It's just sad. He's going to say a lot of things like, it's very unfortunate and it's very sad, and he's just... Motley Crue has blasted Mick Mars' lawsuit against the band as unfortunate and completely off base. In a document filed on Thursday in Los Angeles court, we know this. 71-year-old guitarist, he filed the lawsuit. Earlier today, Motley Crue released the following statement to the media. "What's up, everybody? This is Nikki Sixx." Now, let's see. Mick's lawsuit is unfortunate and completely off base. In 2008, Mick voted for a signed and agreed an agreement in which he and every other band member agreed that in no event shall any resigning shareholder be entitled to receive any monies attributed to live performance. What? i.e. tours after the last tour. What? So they signed that agreement saying no more tours, and now they're saying that agreement stands? Mick publicly resigned the Motley Crue resigned from Motley Crue, despite the fact that the band did not owe Mick anything, and with Mick owing the band millions in advances that he did not pay back. Here we go. The band offered Mick a generous compensation package, a very generous compensation package, to honor his career with the band. It was something to honor you. Manipulated by his manager, and perhaps your managers too, you guys, okay? Manipulated by his manager and lawyer, Mick refused and chose to file this ugly public lawsuit. Equally unfortunate are his claims about the band's live performance. Oh boy. Guys, look it up. Look it up on YouTube. I didn't prepare it, but look it up. Motley Crue fake tapes. There's a guy. He's got a thing called the Digital Performer, and it's got everybody on it. And he breaks it all down and shows you, hey, here's the bass lines, and this works the lights, and this does all this. And when he gets the whole thing going, it's Motley Crue. It sounds like a vanilla plastic version of Motley Crue, but it's all there. They could stand there and just fake it, all of them, and you wouldn't know the difference. Well, you would. You'd go, it sounds plastic and vanilla, but the band offered Mick a generous compensation package to honor his legacy career in the band. Manipulated by his manager, Mick refused and chose to file this. Equally, okay, I'm way too far off. Motley Crue always performs its songs live, but during the last tour, Mick, oh boy, they're blaming Mick, struggled to remember chords, played the wrong songs, and made constant mistakes which led to his departure from the band. There are multiple declarations from the band's crew attesting to his decline. Oh boy. Yeah, they lose their jobs. But do you want a job if you're called to testify against a man that is 71 years old, that has put in 41 years in that band, and it has a debilitating disease? Do you want to get up there and go, yeah, he's declining? We was over there working on his wah-wah pedals and stuff, and we was listening to him playing. We says, damn, he's really declining over there, Joey. Listen to this guy. He ain't no good, you know. Doesn't make you a good person, right? Mick chose to file the lawsuit to badmouth the band. The band feels empathy for Mick, wishes him well, and hopes that he can get better guidance from his advisors, who are driven by greed. Says the guy that scooped up, how 20%? And they carved down his 25 to 5%. Where'd that 20 go? Went to the Motley Crue guys. This one, I mean, the news just keeps coming, guys. We're on to some Ace Frehley. We've got your comments and stuff here, too. Ace Frehley claims Paul Stanley called him last week to say, fuck you, pal. That's what I think. If you remember last week in the episode, Ace Frehley was on the Eddie Junk in the Trunk, Get Out of the Trunk, Trunk, man, and said Paul has 7 days to apologize for saying if they would have played with them at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they would have been Piss. We should change the name to Piss. He said, Paul Stanley apparently called him. I wanted to get into all the deets on this. Original Kiss guitarist Ace Frehley returned to Sirius XM Trunk Nation with Eddie Junk in the Trunk today, Wednesday, April 5th, to offer an update on his ongoing war of words with his former bandmates Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons. His latest appearance on the program came after he threatened to tell, I could have just read this, right? Tell some dirt that nobody knows about Paul and Gene. If the KISS leader did not apologize for the disparaging remarks they made during an appearance on the Howard Stern show, asked if Stanley contacted him when the ultimatum was issued, Ace said, yeah, he did. Not long after the show was over, I was blindsided by a call because I saw his name come up on my cell phone. And I spoke to him 100 different times on that number. And that can be verified by Verizon if you care to go to that Verizon carrier and you can get that verified. Who is my cell phone carrier? I figured he would calling me maybe to apologize or at least explain why he said that. Maybe he meant it really more towards Peter. Oh, you just shift blame there, Ace? Original KISS drummer than me. Maybe he was talking about Peter and he wasn't talking about me. And whatever the case may be, but instead of an apology, I got a 5-second phone call which said, fuck you, Ace. I'm not going to apologize. And hung up. He wasn't even man enough to let me give a rebuttal and explain why I'm so upset or anything like that. It wasn't a text. It was a phone call. And the only reason I picked it up is because it said Paul S. That's what I have him logged in on my Verizon phone is Paul S. So when I see Paul S, I know it's him. When it comes to the guys, I never write their full name into my phone. God forbid somebody find my phone. Hey, who's Paul S? Let's call him. They may not figure out that it's Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. I would never give out their phone numbers. That's what you want to do on the old Eddie Junk in the Trunk. You say, oh yeah, Paul? Fuck you too, pal. Here's your phone number on the live air. When host Eddie, here we go. Eddie Trunk is asked Ace if he is certain. Are you certain the call came from Paul, the guitarist? The guitar said. Absolutely. I did a screen grab from my wireless Verizon carrier. Verizon on, and it's same day as our previous interview. On the same day as our previous interview.
And it said the call lasted 5 seconds. Some idiot out there might say, oh, well, Ace is a graphic artist. He created that in his Photoshop. He's really good at Photoshop. He could have probably Photoshopped it. Well, guess what, buddy? It's still on the servers, and I'm still going to get a bill from Verizon that's going to say 5-second phone call from P.S. Paul Stanley. And God forbid I sue them for defamation of character. A judge can order them to pull it off the server because it's still there.
Boy, he's like L.A. Law, isn't he? He's like Corbin Burnson all of a sudden. According to Ace, he'd been in contact with KISS longtime manager Doc McGee regarding the incident.
I told Doc McGee this whole story, and you know what he came back with? He said, Paul said he never called you. Number one. Number two, Doc said to me, Paul uses AT&T.
Why would you use AT&T? Why wouldn't you go with Ace Frehley's Verizon Wireless?
He uses AT&T, not realizing that it really doesn't matter if he calls me from Tokyo, from some foreign cell phone company, Frehley said. My carrier documents every phone call I get. I love Verizon. I can't believe Doc said that to me. I thought he was a little smarter than that when it came to cell phones.
My God. Where's Eddie at? He's going, now, I don't know about all cell phone carriers, so I'm not going to make a judgment call on that.
Frehley went on to say that we have been happy. We would have been happy if Paul had just called me on the phone like a man and apologized. That would have sufficed, he explained. But after cursing me out on the phone, the gloves are off. And I've known Paul for almost 50 years. And we've always had a really good rapport.
And I know that's rapport.
On the cell phone. But I recognize his voice. If you know somebody 50 years, you know their voice.
So he sees the number. He's got good Verizon situation going on. He sees that it says Paul S. And he goes, I recognize those digits. Now, I might not know them by, but I recognize, it says Paul S. right there. It's Paul Stanley. So now he's wondering, he's like, he knows the voice too. So he's got, I got those things. I got Verizon. I got the phone number. I got Paul S. on there. And I got a voice that sounds like Paul Stanley. What is that? Walk like a duck, talk like a duck? And I've known Paul Stanley for 50 years, and blah, 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 and I can't prove it. We're living in a world with technology that has footprints. I got to read all that. But I recognized his voice. If you know somebody for 50 years, you know their voice. I would never lie about something like that. And I can prove it. We're living in a world of technology that has footprints. Oh, my God. Ace. He really is a Corbin Burnson. As for his previous threat to release a 120-page manuscript that he wrote after he finished his book that was supposedly ruin Paul and that would ruin, they got quotes around that. Did he say it weird or something?
Ruin
Paul and Gene's careers. Ace has apparently had a change of heart. Now, this is what I thought I heard.
I spoke to several good friends of mine who are God-fearing people. And I go to AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, meetings with. And they said, don't ever sink to their level. That's what they do. That's what they've been doing for years. Why are you going to sink to their level, he said. So then I came to the realization that I don't even have to bring up anything that I have hidden away in my attorney's safety deposit box. I can just talk about things that I've said about me in black and white. Things that they've said about me in the black and white. They can't come after me after that because they said it. It's in black and white. So that's all I remember hearing is that he was just going to say he talked to some God-fearing people and they said don't sink to that level. A little bit more of this. Frehley, look, I'm a capitalist. I grew up in America, but I've never put money before people's feelings. I like money as much as the next guy. Do you like it as much as Gene? I don't know if you do. Paul loves money. Gene really loves money. But money isn't my God. Like it's theirs. They're all atheists. Whatever they can do or say, whether it's true or false, as long as it makes them the most amount of money, they're gonna do it. All right, we're done with this. Are you guys just about done with Gene Simmons and all of this stuff? Well, guess what? Gene Simmons. Now, he's an atheist. God, loves the money. He just loves the money. But he just parted with $250,000 of his money. And so I wanted to read a little bit about that. It says, Gene Simmons donates $250,000 to Mending Kids organization that provides free, life-saving surgical care to sick children. Ace is over there. Gene went right over there to these people. As soon as he heard Eddie Trunk's show, he went, bop. Mending Kids' annual Imagine Gala, the gift of the future, was a night to remember as 250 guests came together to celebrate the organization's upcoming milestone of mending its 5,000th child. That's great. The fundraiser took place on Saturday, March 18th at the Malibu Jewish Center at the synagogue, with a who's who of Malibu, California in attendance, including Jonathan Banks. Who dat? Oh, from Breaking Bad. Jonathan Banks? I love that. And Better Call Saul? Is that Mike? I love Mike. Liz Broadway, don't know her. Brandon Jenner, don't know her. Linda Thompson, don't know her. Cindy Ambule, don't know her. Dawn Diamante, I don't know her. A Titan realtor, Chris Cortazzo. So is he paying this and that? Yeah, bro, he get you into a nice little fucking Wall Street thing if you just cough up $250 and lay it over here. The highlight of the night was Kiss legend Gene Simmons' impromptu speech. He's very good with the words. And generous donation of $250,000 to Mending Kids. He also offered up a signed version of his signature Axe guitar at the live auction, selling for $75,000, and added on front row seats with VIP backstage passes to a Kiss concert and a personal dog walk to the winning bidder. My God, this guy will walk your dog. He'll come to your town and sing a song with you if you got $6,000 in your pocket. Mending Kids is doing incredible work, and I'm proud to support them. I encourage everyone to get involved, said Simmons. So there you have that. And there you see it. Don't go changing, trying to please me. One last story about singing. My God, who's a better singer, me or the lollipop here? Well, that's not a lollipop, it's a doll. That's Dee Snider. He was on The Masked Singer. Dee Snider unveiled his doll on singing competition, The Masked Singer. Who's been on there? We've had Sebastian Bach was on there. Yes? Bret Michaels, he was on there. Wasn't Chris Jericho on there as well? And now you got Dee Snider. The old rockers are getting in there. When's Paul going to be on there? Paul Stanley? Twisted Sister frontman Dee Snider was the latest celebrity to be revealed on Wednesday's April 5th episode of The Masked Singer as the doll. I think they got to come up with their names and stuff, or their costumes. He's just like, I want to be a doll. Doll came in third place behind Dandelion and Mantis after a performance of Jailhouse Rock. So they all had to rock it. The doll, Dee Snider doll, had to rock it. Dandelion and Mantis, they all had to rock it. And who rocked it the best? That's the Elvis Presley. I went to the party, don't kind of jab. Out there soon, I'll be gone away. None of the panelists got Doll's identity right. None of them got it right. Jenny McCarthy Wahlberg thought it was Iggy Pop. Robin Thicke went with Gene Simmons. And this is almost a slight to the man. Nicole Scherzinger named David Lee Roth. And Ken Jeong We just didn't care what he had to think. My God, the few episodes I've watched of that, he is so unbelievably irritating, and I'm an irritating person, you people. I get it. People go, good God, you get under my skin. You know, I understand that. He does that to me. So just double that. Double your irritation with me, and that's what Ken Jeong really is. I couldn't believe you guys didn't get it, Dee said to the panel during his unmasked interview with host Nick Cannon. You were circling around it, but let me tell you, Gene Simmons, Iggy Pop, no one could wear pumps like I did. And by the way, ladies, it's like riding a bike. I wore them in the 70s. It all came back to me once I put them on. When asked if he had anything to say to his fans, Dee began an impromptu performance of his band's classic hits. We're not gonna take it. No, we ain't gonna take it. Any chance he can pipe that off? Because even though he's saying we're not gonna take it a couple times, they got to pay him for that. Based on international hit The Masked Singer, features celebrities facing off against one another with one major twist. Each singer is shrouded from head to toe in an elaborate costume complete with full face mask to conceal his or her identity. Asked about Entertainment Weekly why he decided to do The Masked Singer, what did he say? He said, well, actually, to tell you a secret, I was asked season 1 to be on the show. And I said, no, this show will never work. 9 seasons later, they said, will you be on it now, bitch? Yes, I'll be on it now. I did the same thing with Sharknado, by the way. They asked me to be in Sharknado 1. I go, oh, this will never work. And then Sharknado 6, there I was in Romania, dressed as a sheriff and apologizing to the director. You were right. So you got to imagine, I said no all of a sudden, and this show, it's just like blowing up. You know what you should do, Dee? Say no to everything and then instantly call them back and say, okay, I'll do it. Because if you saying no makes something popular, makes it great and good, call them up, say, no, I absolutely will not do this. Wait 30 minutes, call them back, say, okay, I'll do it. Everything will be a hit. It is time for your comments. We got Mike Buchanan here. He's at the tippity top here, so we're going to get right into him. You got today's movie that you watch that is terrible, but we love them anyways. This week's movie is the granddaddy of them all, Plan 9 from Outer Space. Yes, great, not great movie. Ed Wood, I just watched this once again this past weekend. You know you're in for a truly bad, great time when the narrator doesn't even call the movie by the correct name at the beginning of the film. Yeah. The movie was to be called Grave Robbers from Outer Space. This so happens to be Bela Lugosi's last film. He had made some shots with he had mad some shots with Ed Wood for other projects. Oh, he's done other things. Before he passed away in 1956, Ed used some of that footage in Plan 9. Okay, now it makes sense. Which is why you get vampire in a zombie movie with aliens. So if you're a true fan of bad movies and haven't watched this movie like 400 times, you need to step up your game. And yes, Shane, I've started watching Beyond Belief. I'm somewhat remember watching those. And yes, the Winnie the Pooh movie is real. Yes, it's Blood and Honey or something. When Winnie the Pooh has become public domain, that's how they got that. So it's become public domain. So what is that, 90 years, 95 years? And then it goes to public domain. So you can do whatever you want with any kind of Winnie the Pooh stuff, guys. Still Mike Buchanan here. Holy shit, we've been here for 70 episodes. Congrats, man. Wait, I thought Kiss retired, didn't they? Oh, wait. We're on year, 25 of their final concert? Dude, get over yourself and go play with original band and let the fans have a good time. Did I miss something? Ryan's yelling at me right now. I say, he's reading too fast. Play with the original band and let the fans have a good time. What? Yes. Okay, still talking about Ace. Jesus, guys. Beer break. So he's on with the thing. Let the old fogey get up there and sing with you. It's not about the dollars. You've got enough. I agree. Still Mike Buchanan. I would love to hear new music from Pantera. Bands do this all the time with new members. What's different here? I mean, other than I thought that Vinnie Paul and Dimebag were the songwriters, there's nothing really wrong with it. You know, it's just not going to do what the Dime Brothers did. And that'll be all that. You probably turn off some fans. You probably turn on some fans. But it won't be that same thing, you know. So, but I don't know that it necessarily matters. My apology, I had to stop the video to go listen to both Freya and Virgin Witch. And yes, they do sound very similar. Whether it was ripped off, who knows? That's a very hard thing to prove. There are only so many musical notes that can be played in so many different ways. It's about to happen where two bands come up with something that sounds the same. Yeah, it's bound to happen. Yes. God, my reading today sucks. I mean, it's true. There's so, you got to get very inventive. You got to get creative. You got to, breathe new life into it. That's why I'm not so mad at Greta Van Fleet. It's like half their shit sounds like stuff you'd want to hear from Led Zeppelin if they were still around and making good music. Is that crazy for me to say? That, I mean, I don't know the names of their tunes or anything. But when it comes on, I go, yeah, I feel it's got that Led Zeppelin vibe, but they're just a little bit healthier, Shane, stop listening to the voices in the room. I can hear it too. Hopefully Blaze comes out of this better and stronger. The Trujillo family needs to put out an album. That was great. Maybe they'll let his wife go on vacation or something, though. They say, honey, take a trip for yourself. And then they go into the studio. And now, your Jive Talkin jokes of the week. I've been prescribed anti-gloating cream. I can't wait to rub it in. Oh. Arguing with my wife is like reading a software license agreement. In the end, I ignore it all and click, I agree. Oh. My daughter was doing history homework and asked me what I knew about Galileo. I said he was a poor boy from a poor family. Oh, you didn't. She didn't get it. Galileo, 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 they gotta put it go. Get yourself a Diet Coke if you know what band sings that and that, okay? I found stir fry all over my bed this morning. I must have been sleepwalking again. Ah, that's good. I like it. I've often heard that icy is the easiest word to spell. Looking at it now, I see why. Oh. And I got it right off the bat. Maybe you guys are making me smarter. You ever thought of that? And finally, I stopped by a roadside stand that said lobster tails $2. I paid my $2 and the guy says, once upon a time, there was this lobster. Oh. All right, you're getting your heart. I make sure to do that right away. We got Ryan Wade here. He's got a stack of stuff. I wonder if people are just being courteous, like when they see that there's comments that are the size of Herman Melville's Moby Dick. They go, maybe I won't post this time. I highly doubt anyone would be confused by a performance by the original Kiss lineup at the Rock and Roll Hall induction. Wouldn't it be made clear during their introduction as well as their acceptance speech? ? It's kind of lame excuse to not have the original dudes up there playing. That's the whole kind of joy of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right? Is when you see the Eurythmics get back up there again, and you're going, by God, and you kind of hiding your head under the blankets when Lionel Richie was up there. Whew. I was like, my God, good tunes, but Lionel, you've lost it. After the piss comment, okay, let's see. Dude's up there. You're going to have to apologize, guys, but I need to find these lines. They didn't play at all. Okay. But I venture to say it was more about not wanting the spotlight on Paul's struggling voice after the piss comment on Howard Stern. They proceeded to screw up rock and roll all night and had to play it a second time. Oops. I don't want to hear any weird or gross news about the boys, but I am curious to see what transpires, if anything. Tommy is being paid to play Ace on stage, but the reverence from the fans is ultimately attributed to the actual Ace. Yes, not Tommy, so he's still winning, sort of, although butthurt. I know firsthand what it's like to see the band you started go on to great success without you. The bitterness and resentment doesn't get anybody anywhere. Luckily, my old bandmates still acknowledge the origins of the band and give me credit for the contributions whenever it comes up. And I get to help mix their albums in the studio. Fantastic! That's the way it should be. So it's all good. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like Kiss diminished their legacy when they continued to take jabs at each other publicly. Yes, that and taking jabs at everybody else that was doing things that they're doing. We fans just want to keep living the fantasy of the magic from the 70s. 100%. That's where I go to, is Kiss Alive 2. I had to have listened to that record up 5,000 times. I certainly hope Pantera does not try to release any new music. Not that I wouldn't be curious to hear it. It would not be Pantera. It's like Van Halen releasing music without Eddie and Alex. Yeah. They were the sound of the band. I really enjoy your interpretation of Charlie's voice, which reminds me of a southern boss from the awesome Nickelodeon show Mr. Media. Check it out, however. I would much prefer to hear you develop his soft-spoken New York accent. Okay, I'll work on it. I don't know the Rob Zombie song, nor the one it ripped off, but after Led Zeppelin won the lawsuit about Stairway to Heaven, which was totally stolen from another band, and someone like Robin Thicke loses a case... Hey, we just mentioned Robin Thicke. He was the guy that thought it was Gene Simmons in the Masked Singer. A case over blurred lines sounding too much like Marvin Gaye, which to me, it is just reminiscent of, not a copy. I just don't know what the rules are anymore. Tell me the guitar chord progressions are not extremely similar in Chicago's 25, 6, 2, 4 and Green Day's Brain Stew. He's right. The Beatles. While My Guitar Gently Weeps and Papa Roach's Last Resort. I'll say this right now. I think that if those two songs sound the same, I don't think the Beatles ripped off Papa Roach. And I'm sure countless others. Does anyone really care? Fun to listen to and talk about, though. Yes, I agree 100%. Always on to Megan Fox here. Megan Fox is very delightful to look at, despite her weirdly short thumbs. I know there was a weirdness, thumb big toes or something. She has weird flat thumb-shaped toes. I swear it's some kind of condition, and there is a name for it. I just refuse to look it up. Can somebody please look up this abnormality? Both in photos of Megan Fox and in medical journals. It is strange that I've never heard any Iron Maiden with Blaze. I am realizing from this channel that I have often completely dropped many bands when I feel they jumped the shark. Luckily, in this case, I still have a number of the Beast, Peace of Mind, Power Slave, and Alive After Death. That's my records. But I have Killers. But those are my records. That's the ones. And I also had Bro, I throw in Somewhere in Time, too. I'm sorry. Live After Death to Enjoy. I am on board with your immediate reaction to the Black Sabbath cover. I think we are dealing with multiple issues here. First things first, this is the wrong key for her for the song. Yes, I also think she may be a little bit tone deaf. Yikes. You're hearing the same thing I was hearing. Still Ryan here, he says, I do think Vinnie Vincent looks very pleasant with the long hair, makeup, and pantsuit. Far better than trying to look tough in the Lick It Up video. Yeah. And Vinny and Eric Carr were short fellas too, so it's like when they go, okay, now walk to us, come at us. We're gonna have the sexy ladies and the bonfires and stuff walk at us. They look very. Slow it down and just watch each frame of that, and you go, wow, yeah, they're gonna get beat up in this apocalyptic world right away. The women there are gonna squirt them in the face with that mustard shit and then kill them. I mean, they got no chance. Shout out to Miss Althea for sleuthing that wildly unlikely Jason Bateman He-Day connection. Great work. Keep the yucky TV and movie recommendations coming. Next on my agenda is diving back into a movie I watched countless times on HBO about 40 years ago called Super Fuzz. Does anyone remember this gem? I do not. My God, that was one hell. I got to take a break. I mean, I feel like I'm doing good here. Miss Althea coming in. She's got one. The dumbstruck fool says, so the OG Ace girl has to something about the OG spaceman. The only spaceman as far as I am concerned. Okay, she's down for the space ace, the real one. Everyone knows this. I honestly don't think it is going to matter if he drops a bomb about Paul and or what the bomb may be. He claims it is dirt that nobody knows, but trust me, somebody knows. The long-standing hardcore Kiss fan community is far and wide and will... What was that freaking noise I made? Far and wide, and you will undoubtedly cross paths with somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. Hell, Den and I know people who know people who know people. So, regardless, it will be interesting to see if Paul does come forward with an apology. Well, we know he says... Fuck you, Pa. I ain't ever gonna apologize. I've had this thought in my head, and I can't really do Paul's voice very good, but I've had it ringing in my head since this all happened, and it is. He calls him up, he says, fuck you, Ace. I don't negotiate with terrorists. Then he hangs up. I mean, I don't know why I got that in my head. As far as definition of strange relationships between Ace, Gene, and Paul, I think codependent might be appropriate. Yes. Because he went on to say, I didn't read it in this thing, but he went on to say, but if they give me a shooting text, and I'll come out and rock. If I can put the Ace makeup on and get up there with the last show, I'll show up. Therapy, anyone? That's what she ends it on. She's still here, though. Charlie Banante. Nothing to say about your story, except for I love how you made him sound like a Southern Baptist minister when he otherwise hails from the Bronx. Yo! Yeah. I really don't know what I'm doing with the accents, but I love doing them. Does that make any sense? Still, Miss Althea, all the best to Blaze Bailey. My father had the same procedure done about 20 years ago. Hear that, Blaze? 20 years ago. And he is still going strong. And yes, mental attitude and good spirit may not be everything, but it is certainly plays a huge part. 100%. Be good with yourself. As soon as you get good with yourself and you're like, man, I don't care. I don't care. I got a crooked face. I got a short leg. It's me, you know. As soon as you get really good with yourself, and I think it takes time and age where you just go, I don't give a shit. But the sooner you get good with yourself, and really, it sounds so hippie to say love yourself, but as soon as you love yourself, everything will fall in line. Everything. And as soon as Tony Robbins dies, I'm going to try and get his job. Your quote, everyone say one nice thing about Vinnie Vincent challenge. Yeah, okay. He's a mess. but I didn't meet him. But I did meet him once, and I will fully admit he was very kind and personable. And Slaughter's song Burning Bridges is totally about him, by the way. So we answered that. Burning bridges, got a nasty reputation from town to town. I mean, yeah. Still Miss Althea here. I'm sorry, Ryan Wade, but I am not every woman. Put me on the proverbial, oh, make it that literal B list. Paul Rudd is a million miles away from being a crush of mine. Secret or public, so not my type. She laid it down. Not every lady out there wants Paul Rudd. Okay, Ryan? Jeez. And finally coming in, there's your heart, Miss Althea, and then finally coming in here with a quaint little number, Oscar. One nice comment on Vinny the Fingers. Hey, old Vinny the Fingers. I'm glad no one is rotting in hell for killing the cocksucker who still owe 2 box sets or refund plus compound interest to those hoaxed back in 1997 or their next of kin. Wow. My goodness, my goodness. All right, be well, be good, be kind, be happy, be all that you can be. Quite frankly, we're gonna wing it and ding it. We're gonna get on out of here. I appreciate you all. I thank you all. Get down there if you want to be part of this thing. Get in those comments, okay? Let's see what we got here. God damn son. I mean, let's see. Pop, pop. I don't like the sound of that. Come on, give me something with some gravy. Oh. Jive talking time. Jive. Motherfucking jive talking. Jive. Ooh, 81.